If you're looking at making a decision between the iPhone Air and the iPhone 17 Pro, these two are just $100 apart from each other. And yes, one has three cameras, lots of pro features, and one only one single camera. These two might seem different on paper, but there's a lot of similarities between them. And all I want this video to be is a guide for you so you can take this info, soak it in, and make the right decision for yourself. And guess what? There's no mid-roll ads, so you're not going to be interrupted. So feel free to just sit back, enjoy, and hopefully by the end of this video, you can make the right decision for yourself because that's all my goal is. So the very first place I want to start is with the camera. So you can see there's three on the Pro, there's one on the Air. But for this, we need to understand cameras a little bit more because how these cameras work is very similar, yet also very different. The very first thing I want you to learn is these two lenses right here. You have your main wide lens with an aperture of 1.78, and then you have your telephoto with an aperture of 2.8. And I want you to pay attention to aperture, and we're going to learn exactly what it does. Aperture, the lower the number, it is basically the amount of light that can enter into the sensor that sits on the inside of your phone. Or if you have a DSLR camera, it is the amount of light going into the camera sensor. Now my camera right now is set to 1.4, so it's allowing in the most possible light that this lens is capable of doing. Now, if I go up to my camera, I'm going to change it to 2.8. Okay. Now, suddenly you probably can see that it's gotten darker. I didn't adjust any of the lights. I didn't do anything else, but the image is darker because we've now reduced the amount of light going to the sensor. That's the thing that's going on here with the telephoto. But here's the coolest thing. I'm going to change this back real quick. We are back at 1.4. Now here's the cool thing. What you probably don't know about your Pro phone, and if you want to try this at home, you could try it for yourself. If you simply cover up your wide lens and you open up your camera and you go into video and you start cycling between the different lenses, 1x, 2x, 4x, 8x, you're probably going to see your finger at some point. Just move around your phone and you're going to see your finger at some point. Because what the software in these devices is doing is choosing the appropriate sensor to use for that specific photo. This is why we have such smart chips in these devices. The moment that you open the camera on a phone, you are now giving it so much information, and the phone, before you even take a photo, it has already taken so many photos, and immediately when you hit the click button, all of this happens so fast and it decides which photo should be the right one and how it should be processed. That's basically what computational photography is. Now, the other important thing that we need to understand with the Pro camera system is not only is it using the main wide lens majority of the time, because the software doesn't know that you have a finger on the camera, it just is analyzing the shot and thinking that, okay, maybe we need this main sensor for this shot, or maybe we need the telephoto sensor for this shot. That's why usually when you're outdoors, you're never going to see your finger show up on that main wide lens, even at 8x, simply because it's going to resort to this lens, which has the higher aperture at 2.8, because outside, your camera doesn't need to bring in as much light to gather all that detail. Now, the way that all of this relates to phones with a single camera like the iPhone 16e or the iPhone Air is these, since it's a single camera, that's all the software can work with, you have a lower aperture at 1.6, which means that if you actually take a 8x photo with the iPhone Air, I'm going to put up photos that you can compare side by side. The quality, if you pinch in, is not going to be the same because it's not as big of a sensor, right? As compared to the Pro model. But overall, both of the photos are going to be probably 9 to 10 megapixels because it's cropping in on that main sensor. That's what your iPhone 17 Pro is doing. It's not utilizing the whole sensor when you are in at that 8x. Now, if you came over to my place and I was like, hey, check out this photo, right? And I just show you from my phone, And then I go to the next photo and I'm like, dude, check these out. These are so nice. This is one of my plants in the house. Well, one of these is taken with the iPhone Air, and the other one is taken at 8x with the iPhone 17 Pro. We get too caught up in these cameras. What is really different about these cameras is pro capabilities. And that's what you need to focus on, is whether or not you're going to utilize those pro features. Because if you're going to take advantage of them, now this camera automatically is phenomenal. It's going to capture amazing detail when it comes to raw photos, amazing detail with ProRes RAW. But here's the thing, what you really need to consider with these two cameras is the fact, do you really need the ultra wide? Because you can still make do with this single camera if you want, but do you really need the ultra wide? Because that is its own lens and that is going to behave on its own. For me personally, I only have 93 photos out of almost 21,000 photos in my photo library that are shot at ultra wide, simply because I don't use that focal length and I don't like the look of it. But that has nothing to do with you. You may love the ultra wide. And so that's what I want you to decide on. Two things to consider. One, the pro features, and two, the ultra wide. Because even at 8x here, you're going to be able to make do. You can do the same with the iPhone 17 as well. It's just cropping in on one main sensor. And you see, this is the exact reason why I could go on a vacation to Japan and use a single camera and get good photos that are going to be everlasting memories. I can edit them to my liking and they'll look good. But will they have the same versatility that you get with a raw photo? No way. Or would I be able to get video quality out of these devices that looks anything like a ProRes video recording? No way. The moment that you look at this camera system and let's say you want to use those pro features, well, now you have to worry about storage. So that's one thing that nobody even considers. You're going to need to have an SSD to record in ProRes RAW, which is going to have some kind of MagSafe contraption. And then let's say if you want to attach an SSD, but also you want to attach a microphone, well, now you need some kind of adapter. And then if you need to get the normal motion blur, so like if I do my hand like this, right? This is the kind of motion blur that our eyes can see. In order for a camera to do that, it has to have its shutter speed double its frame rate. So if you're shooting at 4K 30 FPS, your shutter needs to be at 60. Or if it's 4K 60, then it needs to be at 120. So you can get proper motion blur. But guess what? Your phone cranks up the shutter all the way. That's why you get a little bit of choppy motion when you're recording videos outside. Because if you want to do it professionally and utilize these features, well, then you're probably going to buy some kind of case that can be compatible with like a camera filter or one of those mobile filming kits. And now your phone is something totally different. I'll give you this much detail about myself personally, right? I love the log format. I use it in my camera. I love RAW format. I use it in my camera, the one that's recording me right now. And when it came time for me to upgrade my 13 mini, it was like by far one of my favorite devices. Till this day, it's my favorite device. I didn't have any other option. The current option was the iPhone 16 Pro. And I was about to travel and I was like, you know what? I have to review this device anyway, so why don't I switch to that? Ultimately, I ended up switching to iPhone 16e because the 16 Pro is just too heavy for me. I can't do these Pro devices at all. Like, that's just me. That doesn't have to be you. I'm just sharing with you my personal experience. Now, I went on that trip and I shot in RAW and ProRes and everything, right? But then I also came to a realization that I don't want to have all this stuff attached to my phone. I want my phone to just be as simple as opening my camera and taking a photo. Maybe I pinch in and crop in a little bit and take a photo then. Because that's the beauty of the camera that lives in your pocket. It's very different than the camera that I'm recording with right now. When I take my camera, I have to take filters, I have to take this thing and that thing, and it's bulky and it's got a lot of weight. The beauty of the phone is the fact that it lives in your pocket. So if you're looking at the Pro device, one major consideration that you need to have is all of this. Because all of this additional stuff that you're going to buy for the phone to shoot with those Pro formats, it's going to cost you money. So you can't literally just say that, oh, this is $10.99 and this is $1,000, because if you are just going to take standard photos and you're just opening the camera and shooting the photos and stuff, well, now you've got this wonderfully capable device in your hand that you're not even utilizing. So why carry it in the first place? It just, to me, it doesn't make sense simply because I value comfort in my device. So this brings me to design and comfort of both of these devices. And because both of these devices are made to serve a different kind of individual, that's why they feel very different. Think of this like your pickup truck, right? This is bold, it's unique looking, but everything that Apple did with this design is for a purpose. For example, the aluminum unibody. It's lighter, so that way it's more comfortable to use than previous generations, but more importantly, the aluminum helps keep the device pushing that heat around along with the vapor chamber, because when you are using those pro features, that's when you realize that performance and all these other things really come into play. If you need to record a really lengthy clip in ProRes and you've got a hard drive on here and you are out and it's like 90 degrees, you're going to need this design to be the way that it is, as opposed to the titanium one it's replacing. With the iPhone Air, this is catered to a different kind of user, somebody that wants a phone to look good, right? Like this isn't, you're not going to take this phone off-roading, right? This phone will go off-roading, will go on the adventure with you. This is more of just your day-to-day user. That's why this has that light and comfortable feel despite it being 6.5 inches in terms of screen size. So that brings it to being larger than the iPhone 17 Pro, which point two might not seem that different, but it makes a huge difference. So what I would say with the design and comfort and everything is that pick the device based on your needs. Like if you need these like pro features and you need all these capabilities, well, this is your best option. You're not going to be happy here because this is not made to do what this one is made to do. It's just, they're like two different cars. If you have a sports car, it's not going to be able to carry your whole family. It's just simply not made for that. Yet you pay a lot of money for it, right? This, on the other hand, is designed for the heavy duty lifting. It's not made to look good. And whether or not it looks good to you, that is just going to be your personal opinion. But when it comes to day-to-day use, for the kind of user I am, as I stated before, like I just enjoy having a comfortable experience. So for me, the comfort here with the larger screen is something that I love. Now, as for the rest of the design, you've got camera control option on both of these. You've got the action button on both of these. You've also got USB-C, but what's different here is USB-C 3 in the 17 Pro and Pro Max, simply because of all those pro features. Like if you're going to be utilizing those, then you're going to need faster data speeds, and that's why you have a faster port here. And this USB-C 2, like that's not even going to be relevant to somebody that's just day to day using this device as just browsing social media and doing your typical day to day things. Now, one other design difference between these two is because of how thin the iPhone Air is, it only has one speaker. It's a mono speaker at the top. Now, has that been any issue for me personally? This is what I do. I use WhatsApp voice notes. I listen to YouTube videos. I listen to podcasts. I take phone calls on speaker call when I'm at the house. And when I'm in public, I am never using my speaker because it's not even polite to do that. Suddenly, with the iPhone Air, what's funny is that I guess nobody has headphones anymore. And also, nobody has chargers anymore, whether it's desk chargers, home chargers, or car chargers. These two things, speaker and battery, have been blown so out of proportion. Now, is this speaker going to sound as rich as the 17 Pro? No. But does it matter in the overall grand scheme of things? Absolutely not. At least that is how I feel about it, because I value the comfort and the larger screen and the overall feel and the usability of this device way more than I do on the Pro. And if you feel different, oh well, it's fine. That's why we have choices. It's not a big deal. And this brings me to battery life. Right now it is 9:21 p.m. It's October 2nd. The 17 Pro is at 43%. It was taken off the charger at 6:21 a.m. at that 80% limit that I like to use. The iPhone Air, 29%, also taken off at 6:21 a.m. Now, just to keep it clear with you, what I did is that this is my main SIM, which is in my iPhone Air, because this is going to be my device that I keep. But for the Pro, I moved my eSIM over of my business line into the 17 Pro just so I could use both of the devices back and forth, and both of them had network coverage and also Wi-Fi was on. Screen brightness is always set to auto for me. I don't make any adjustments to anything. I just kind of let the phones do their thing. I do have adaptive power on both of these devices. But today, the reason I wanted to do this is because I had to go pick up my car from the service center. So I figured one of the devices I'll use while I go there, and one of the devices I'll use while I come back with CarPlay and music and all of that. So on the way there, I used the iPhone Air. On the way back, I used the iPhone 17 Pro. And if we go into screen time on both of these for today, just one second. So we have 2 hours 42 minutes on the 17 Pro, and we have 2 hours and 18 minutes on the iPhone Air. So I was just trying to keep it as, even as possible throughout the day by alternating the devices. However, I would like to say that I did use YouTube Music to stream music while I was going to the service center, because I wanted to just kind of pressure the air a little bit. And also, I've noticed that when you are out and about, these devices with the C1X in there, they are just more efficient on a cellular network. That's just something I've observed. I don't know what your observation is. You can let me know in the comments. Nonetheless, just try to keep screen time as even as possible. And as I said in my iPhone 17 and 17 Pro comparison, with the 17 Pro, I can end the day with 40 to 45%, and currently it's 43%. And with the iPhone Air, I can easily end my day at around 30%. So that's not that big of a difference, considering the fact that this has way less milliamps than the 17 Pro. But I think it's all the efficiency of the A19 Pro, the C1X, and the N1 chip. And what I'm really interested to see is when we get these chips in the Pro models, you are going to notice a big change in terms of how much better they can do with their battery life. So hopefully this helps you if you're looking at both of these devices. So right now it's Friday, October 3rd, 7:03 p.m. My phone battery is at 28%, right? So typically what I do is that if I'm heading out like I'm about to, I would just throw it on this charger or a different charger in the house. Since I'm in the car, I'm going to put it on my own car charger. By the way, if you need a strong and reliable Qi2 car mount, this one that I made is freaking amazing. And if you don't like it, you deal with me. I will return it for you. Don't worry. So right now the time is 7:19 and 49%. So already up 20%. So even if I took this off right now from the charger, I'd be totally fine. So it's really not that difficult to top these phones up. We've come to a point where it's very convenient as long as you have access to chargers. The more important thing here is that do we, like I just mentioned before, like have we ran out of chargers? Like if you look at my older videos, right, of my everyday carry or my everyday carry backpack, I have shown you power banks. And it's not just to show you, it's because I keep them with me. So on either of these devices, if I have a really long day, I'm going to need a battery pack, or I'm going to need to throw this on my car charger. Now, regardless, it's going to be very different for each individual. What apps you're using, how you're using it. What I like to do is I just keep my phones on auto brightness. I keep my volume usually at 60 to 70%. I have a Ring-Con ring that is attached to my phone at all times. So whenever I've been alternating between these devices, I've been moving my ring from one device to the other device. Also, I've been testing the AirPods 3, so I've had these connected as well when I've been out in public with either of these devices. So those are just some details to take into account as to how I'm using these devices. The rest of it, I don't know your personal experience, how it's going to be. I also use the 80% charge limit, so I'm just seeing how far they go from 80% to 30%. I understand, like, if you're someone that is working out in the field and you don't always have access to a plug or something, but then wouldn't you at least keep a battery pack with you? I mean, that would be the sensible thing to do. And I would also say that regardless of whether you're going for the 17 Pro or you're going for the iPhone Air, you're gonna need to charge these devices at some point. The only device that you're not going to need to charge is the 17 Pro Max. But that is just way too big of a phone for me to use, at least on a day-to-day basis. So I'll leave that up to you, whether you want to test it out for yourself. But either of these devices or even the iPhone 17, you're gonna need a battery pack on one of your vacations, one of your camping trips, one of your long days. Neither of these devices are making it the entire day. Next thing I want to talk about is the performance of these devices. And I will just say right now, this is always going to win. Like, if you were to put both of these devices under some kind of stress for an extended period of time, guess what? This is always going to win. This has the vapor chamber, and then the aluminum unibody really helps to move that heat around. So, like, my first days with any of these devices, I don't use a case on them simply because I want to feel where the phone is getting warm. Like here, like on this device, I notice like the longer that you use it, you'll feel overall the whole phone gets warm, which is telling you that it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. With the iPhone Air, you're going to notice all the heat lives like up in this area, and then it also trickles into like this area. That's at least what's been my experience. Again, just sharing my experience. I don't know about anybody else. Last thing to consider is price. And I know here in the USA you might be looking at $1,000 and then $1099, but international markets are very different. Sometimes between an iPhone Air and an iPhone Pro might be $500-$600. That's just how it is overseas. It's a totally different ball game. So if you are overseas and there is a big difference, well, don't forget to take into account all the things like getting an SSD, getting the wireless microphone if you need it, or the filters. Those are things that are going to come along with the pro features that you will need to buy here to utilize those things. So you can't just look at the base price and think that that's all you're going to pay. Here, you're going to buy this and then that's it. This is all you're going to buy. Maybe you're going to get a case, put a screen protector, and then you are good to go. The other important thing is that price is not always relative to features. Like, you can't just put a price on the things that you see on paper. There's also experience. You probably go to a cafe where you buy your favorite cup of coffee and you're paying more than the cafe down the street. Why? Because that cafe gives you a good experience. I know I certainly do that. This is the same reason why people buy fancy cars. I have a sedan that is pretty expensive. It's a BMW 5 Series, but I bought it for its comfort, for the experience, for the day-to-day things that it gives me. I could have bought a car that is the same size and half the cost. It's a lot of things that go into the price of something. And with this, you've really got to love the form factor to be able to pay for this device. And if you value that, you're not going to have any problem with it. Let's not forget, I also paid $700 for a small phone that has a tiny battery, but guess what? This will give you an experience that a pro phone never can even come close to in a million years. So price isn't always just about what you see on paper. It's a lot more than that. And these two devices, that's where they differ. Their price might be similar, but what you're getting with each one is very different. And this brings me to the most important thing, which is, which one do you choose? Choose the one that suits you best. Whether it's going to be the iPhone Air, whether it's single camera, as long as it works for you, go for it, you know? Or if you don't care about the pro features, but you really want a blue phone, go for it. It's your decision. It's not going to affect anybody else. I don't know why people get so caught up fighting each other about which phone that they chose and which one is the best. The best one is the one that's best for you. So all I'm hoping in this video is that you can just take this experience and get some value out of it. And if you have gotten value out of it, then all I appreciate is you give me a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions left for me. And most importantly, like always, take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video.